good. I like it, and everybody knows how to use it. So simple as that.
For real.
So
It's really not that hard.
right. It's pretty simple. I mean, I've used it for a while. Most people have used it before. If like you guys are into games, and a lot of classes are using it, and even Discord amped up their servers to like 30 people to 50 people per class, which is pretty cool.
Well, they
And they have
increased the viewing. So the
viewing.
stream that you're doing right now, they increased it from 10 people to 50.
Oh, nice. That's
Oh,
pretty,
wow.
And stuff.
that's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. So it works pretty good. It works really good. I like it a lot. If we do, I mean, I'm pretty sure this is the only semester we might use it. But I mean, even though I think this would be pretty cool to like, if you have any questions, I mean, you can always jump on Discord and we can talk real quick or whatever. So I think it's convenient that way. I might just do that for my other classes. Maybe instead of I don't know, Remind or Discord or something to make it easier for everybody. But so we're on April 13th. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should be done with chapter 5, guys. I know some of you guys are missing it. But majority of everybody, I saw everybody did chapter 5 questions. The electude, I think like 75% of us are done. I already incorporated the grade on there. It's going to be at the very bottom of your grade center. If you did 100% of it, I'm going to give you the grade for 100%. Even though if you got a lower average on the actual test itself, I give you 100% for the actual completion of the course. So if you complete it all the way, I'll give you 100, and if you're like 75%, I'll give you 75. But just complete it all the way, what you can, and I'll give you the grade for that. Well, let me get the link for Steven.
I'm sorry, I'm not all there. Okay, what are you saying that
hold
you're
on.
gonna give us 100 for?
For the completion of that course.
For the battery?
Yes. So if you
Oh.
finished it completely 100%, I'll give you 100%. Even
Okay.
though like your average on the actual course itself is like, let's say 35 or 80, I'm still gonna give you 100% for completing the whole course itself. So if you did all the batteries, I'm gonna give you 100%. So pretty much what we're doing next is we're continuing with the, so like right here, let me show you real quick. Oh, wrong one. It's right here. So right here, it shows me the completion. So Oblivion, I saw it right now. Right there. It's all the way complete. I'm gonna give you 100% for all that. So that's 100%. Now, if you haven't completed all of it, well, I can't give you 100% because all the stuff's not done yet. But everyone that's completed it has already gotten 100 for that lecture. So once it hits the very
Did I
end,
get it?
what's up, man? Steven, you're almost done. You just got a little bit more to finish. Yeah, look, you're missing a few.
The battery?
Yeah.
I just finished it right now.
Oh, okay, let me reload it.
It doesn't count if you just finished it right now, Steven.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
The time already passed.
I finished it before 1.
I think you need one more.
Oof.
Yeah, look,
Sad.
you see, it feels bad. One more. You need one more module because everybody has 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Those who have 10 modules is completely 100% complete. You need one more module and then you get the 100.
That's a 0 for you, Steven.
Now, if you want that, I'll give you 90. Yeah, I'll give you 90.
That's fine.
I'll give you 90 for that. Like I said, this is going to be your percentage for the modules that we have. So 100, 100, 100, 30, 20, 100, 150, 10, 90, 80. So that's what I'm going on. There's 10 modules, so each one is going to be 10%. So, of course, like I said, I gave you guys 2 weeks to do it. So we're already 13th. Today we start chapter 6 as well as our starting
It's been
system.
2 weeks since you last told us?
Yes, it flies by.
Yeah.
No, not even. That feels like a really short period of time.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
it does.
I assigned it Monday, the 30th. So it's already been, 1 week, 2 weeks. So now we're already the 13th. I was like, fuck.
What the heck?
Time's flying by, man.
Crazy. I know. It's insane. I don't know. I almost lost track of time because I've just been stuck at home and doing stuff at home. I'm trying to keep busy. So I have homework to do as well. And
I've been trying to stay drunk.
I try to hold myself till the weekend. So yeah, like Friday, I'll go get something to drink and then chill out for the weekend. But other than that, like during the week, I try to stay busy. I try to wake up early because if I don't, I'm gonna mess up my sleep schedule, and I don't want to do that. I
There-
already
Like
messed up.
20 pounds.
I already messed up my sleep schedule. It's
It,
gone.
I go to sleep at like
What
2 in the
schedule?
morning. Yeah, and then but I have to wake myself up at 8 minimum at 8. So
Minimum.
Same. Like tomorrow, I have to wake up at 8. I don't think I'm gonna do that.
uh-oh,
I
it's hard.
cannot relate.
I'm gonna miss my class.
I could like go to sleep like at 5 and wake up at 7 in the morning.
Oof, I don't know, man. I can't. I'll be dragging the whole day. It's tough, man. Especially right now. It's difficult. But I mean, I think we're returning on May the 4th. The faculty to the class, right, actually to school.
May the
But
4th be with you.
actually they have some badass things going on for that. But maybe not anymore. Like
Not
Grain to
anymore.
Glass, they had some cool stuff there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think the students are going back. I think only we're going back so far. So the way I look at it, I don't think we're going back this semester.
Yeah, no, I don't see it either.
So it's probably just gonna finish it up. And we just had a meeting today in the morning, and they're trying to find, trying to figure out the worst case scenario. What's up, man?
Tell Wade to get on that shit, man. He hasn't been on it all week.
On what on the classes or what?
On it. Yeah, on anything. He hasn't been there.
I don't know, man. He told us that it's going great.
I guess we're
But
positive.
everybody's different. At the end of the semester, actually, I think the evaluations are there. Um, I'd appreciate if you guys would finish the evaluations. I know throughout the half the semester, I mean, we were in class and then we had to transition for online. Just put down what you guys thought of like this course, and honestly, be honest with all your courses. That's the best thing to do. Like if you didn't like the way they did it here or this instructor did this, I would say be honest as possible. They will not know who actually wrote it because everything's gonna be anonymous.
What's
But
your name?
Well,
there's
then I'm gonna give a bad grade for all of my teachers because I don't like that we're doing class.
yeah, and honestly, that's perfectly fine because, and honestly, we had a discussion. We we're gonna lose students because they want a hands-on course, and this is 100% correct. And we've already discussed this, but
That's mainly why we joined the
exactly.
courses because we wanted
Uh,
something hands-on.
yeah, and the only thing that was bad is unfortunately we aren't able to do that right now. Now we hopefully we will resume during the fall semester. The way it looks, it's hopefully yes, we're gonna go back to normal in fall. I mean, what I was suggesting is, hey, I would say let's go back, to normal in fall, but let's just take precautions. Maybe we still need to use some masks. Maybe you need to be more careful, because we're still going to be working in an environment where we're going to be close to each other. We work in groups and stuff like that. I still think, like I said, once this is over, the way socialing, is normal. It might be changing up a bit. But if we do have classes that are still hands-on, I think it might change up a bit. We might have to be more dispersed. We might have to take some masks, even though they're just handmade, whatever. I don't know. We'll see. Like right now, everybody's going day by day, week by week to see what's actually going to happen.
Mhm.
We're gonna
Fortunately,
look like surgeon working on the car.
that's what we are, man. We're doctors for the vehicles, man.
Perez.
But honestly, Vivian, if you feel like that, and which is I'm pretty sure most of us do agree with that. Yeah, I mean, put that down. Like I said, everything's anonymous. Put
I
down
mean,
that you didn't
especially
like the transition.
those people that
Yeah.
are paying for it, man. Like,
Yeah, no,
out of their
exactly.
pocket.
That's
I
another thing
have a bunch
too.
of what?
Now, another thing, what I was saying is, like I said, most of us did 100% great from the beginning to the midterm. Um, I can offer you guys incompletes, which I think what happens is you retain your grade as of the midterm pretty much,
Mhm.
and you can come back, I think maybe during the summer or fall to finish up the rest of the semester. But you'll have to take the class again midway, you know what I mean? Like from midterm all the way to the end. And we can conduct the hands-on there. It's an option. I already had one student tell me that on my automotive transmission class that he didn't want to do any of this. He wanted to just do, I'll take the incomplete and I'll finish it next semester. Like, all right.
I just might agree with that.
Yeah, so it's up to you guys. Like I said, that's always an option. They're trying to minimize that as much as possible because, of course, you might have to add more classes, and if it doesn't fill up, that's the hard part. Or we'll have a full class and we'll throw you in the full class and continue from there. Um, we just have to see how that works out. We haven't gotten all the details yet, but we did get offered for dropping, incomplete, and we haven't gone over the pass or fail just yet. So
I
they're
think that
discussing it.
sounds pretty good.
Yeah, they're discussing it, but we don't know yet. Like I said, as soon as I get the information, I always convey the information to you guys to let you know what's going on.
So do you
Um,
think it'd be possible, even if you pass all the electudes and stuff like that, to
mhm.
still get like a hands-on courses?
Uh, maybe. Like I said, they're still working on that. Maybe during the summer, if it is open during the summer, we can do that. Like I say, like 1407 Q2, that's us. If
Right.
majority of the class wants to actually do hands-on, like for the rest of the semester, maybe I can talk to the boss and say, hey, look, they finished everything good, but they do want to have the hands-on. Maybe we can offer it during the summer. So that would be a possibility. I'll throw that out there to the main man, and let's see what he says.
All
But
right.
like I said, I have no control over that. It's up to them as well as the president of the college. But that would be actually really good because I mean, like Vivian said, she was kind of upset like that we completely transitioned online. And you know what? I would have been completely on the same boat as you because uh, you sign up for a class to learn hands-on and do all this at the actual course. So totally understandable. Um, but just with the unfortunate situation is just we can't do anything about it. Like literally, we can't do anything about it. But what I do ask for you guys to do is when you do get those evaluations, be 100% honest. They're gonna ask you about this specific course. Whatever course you have, they're gonna have an evaluation for each course. Be honest with it. Now, be do keep in mind that this transition from a hands-on course to online course is not the instructor's fault. So don't like have a disgruntled argument with them about that because it's not our fault. So be
But
aware of that. Yes, we had to transition to online. No, it's not our. Uh, we wouldn't
you're
like that.
doing.
Yeah, just be aware of that. So you can put that down. Like yes, the course was good. Unfortunately, we went online, which I didn't like, and most of us, I'm pretty sure, didn't like. But we're just trying to continue with what we left off with what we can. That's what it is. But if you enjoyed this online, put that down. If you didn't enjoy it, put that down, so we can pretty much improve on what we need to do. You know what I mean? That's what it is for. The evaluation is to try to improve ourselves for next semester and continue from there. Like I said, this is my first time teaching an online course. I'm learning new things, learning
It's a
new
media
options.
presentation.
It's a what?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm gonna mute myself. Different
oh, okay.
conversation.
And it's completely new to me. I've never done anything like this before. So, like I said, if you put on there on the actual evaluation, put down if I was doing good, what can I improve on, stuff like that, and all that's there in the evaluation that you could always incorporate your own stuff as well. And like I said, everybody's completely anonymous. I don't know who's ever's typing all that stuff, so
I
that's the
mean,
good thing
like
about it.
the teacher are doing good, man, but this online shit is whack.
Yeah, that's the only unfortunate thing. I wish we could just go to the class and actually physically work on stuff. Because honestly, man, I think this has been the first semester where I haven't used any of the vehicles in the actual cage. I think everybody has brought in their vehicle almost every single day and work on their own stuff. That's pretty cool. The cool thing is, what I liked about it is that everybody had a different concern to work on. Now that's good because now you're working with different things. You have lights, you have signals, you have master flow sensors, you have this, you have that, they have that, which is good because it actually makes you stop to think like, okay,
Yeah.
how does this work? How do we fix it? What are the diagrams? How do we check it, etc. So that's the good thing about that. Uh, other semesters I'd have students that they don't want to bring the car, they want to check it out, which it's fine. We have cars there to work on, but honestly, I rather and I always push it, work on your own car so you can know how your car works, and let's fix any problems that you're missing.
But like that's the thing. Also, like we would love to work on cars, but sometimes it's more than a 1% thing, and it's good to do it in class because other people.
You're breaking up, Vivian.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
What were you saying again?
No, I was saying that sometimes it's more than a one-person job, and yeah, you could
Yeah,
ask just anybody, but some of us also want to learn like what's going on, and we like to share
yeah,
our
yeah.
issues.
And yeah, that's a thing sometimes because I know sometimes I try to pair you up in teams because sometimes we don't have enough vehicles to work on individually. So that's why I always have you guys. Hey, if you guys are working on a team, please do everything together. Make sure everyone has their own schematics because, like I said, if only one person does all the work, you're not gonna really learn anything. That's why I have you guys do everything needs to be done individually so that you can learn at your own pace. So, but
Go
yeah,
back to class.
what's up?
Petition to go back to class.
I know, man. I
But
wish we could. That'd be awesome.
honestly,
Petition to go back to class as long as you get a medical form saying you don't have COVID.
There you go.
Exactly.
Honestly,
Hey, that would work out
that's
too.
a really good idea. Can you tell that to the
I'll throw it out there.
President?
See what they say to the
So
president.
if you don't, I will.
They have to pay for a
Look,
result. Though.
I could tell you this much. I've already learned how to scrub down, okay? I'll be perfectly fine going in there.
That's
I
hilarious.
used to go around freaking the hospital with people that had like tuberculosis and stuff.
Oh damn.
I'm good.
We're already endangered in what we do, so
I
I
know
don't think
exactly. Yeah, I know what
we
you
could
mean.
get asbestos with break
I
dust.
was gonna
Everything,
say,
man.
just breathing in the fumes of what we do is worse
Yeah.
than anything COVID does.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's insane. I know. But yeah, like I said, guys, I'm always here. If y'all have any questions, if you need help with anything. Today we'll start with chapter 6, which is our starting systems, and we'll go with that. Chapter 6, we were doing over batteries. Does anyone have any questions on batteries and how they work and what the purpose is?
There was nothing in hybrid batteries. That made
No?
me sad.
Oh yeah, no, there was
On the Electude or what? Oh, on the actual
Yeah.
chapter, right?
that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, no, they haven't really incorporated a lot into it, which they need to because a lot of the stuff is gonna be towards hybrid vehicles. And I think what they were doing is they were actually doing like this research on how much smog there is right now. You know, due to the pandemic, because not a lot of vehicles are out in the streets, and they actually saw a huge decrease in pollution, which is good. So it's a good way of showing them like, hey, even if you just go full electric, we're actually helping the environment a lot, which is pretty interesting. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes from here.
My
There's
sister
gonna be a
goes
lot
to
of
my
things to learn.
grandma like almost every day.
Uh huh.
So I pick her up, like my grandma lives like a block away. So like I pick her up in the Dodge, and every time I'm like always stepping on the gas because it's like I miss driving.
I know, dude. I finally got to
For
try my
reals.
car out, and it
So
was
like I'm
I
like
just floored
peeking
it.
out of the house and like going like 30 down the freaking block.
Dude,
That is
Krakatoa
hilarious.
erupted like 2 days ago.
The what?
Krakatoa,
Krakatoa.
What's that?
a big volcano in the Indonesia.
Oh wow. Damn, what the hell's going on, man?
They even made fun of it in SpongeBob.
Oh wait, what? Really?
We're gonna
That's
die.
crazy. Oh no.
Krakatoa.
Dude, that is insane. I didn't know that. That is crazy.
Like I have a aunt. She's a Jehovah's Witness,
Uh
and she's like,
How is she
no,
working at home?
no, she's like, she's saying everything that's happening. It comes
Uh-huh.
down to the Bible and shit, or some shit like that.
Yeah. There's people that are really like into it's all from the book.
Superstition,
Yeah,
whatnot.
it's
One of
crazy.
my friends tried doing that. We all told them we were gonna cough on him when this thing gets over.
Oh god.
Oh no.
It's because he keeps posting a whole bunch of like religious stuff, and he's
Uh-huh.
like trying to convert us or whatever.
Mhm.
So we're like, you know what? When this gets done, we're all coughing on you.
Oh no, that's horrible. You guys are bad.
We're
All right.
jerks.
Let's go ahead and start with our chapter 6 for today. So this is a combination lecture for classroom and shop for chapter 6, which is starting systems and starting system diagnosis. Now I have a few cool things that hopefully I can show you actually. When I was working out there used to be a cool system called a starter/generator system. And you know how a lot of the vehicles have a start-stop system?
Mhm.
Stop system.
Start-stop system. Uh, they use the starter to turn on the vehicle every single time that the vehicle stops. Now, during the transition from a start-stop vehicle, they had a alternator slash starter generator. It was an insane fucking thing. And it was on a 2012, 13 Malibu, I think. Malibu ISG. It's called the integrated starter generator. Hold on, Chevy. And here it is. This thing was pretty cool. And I got to test drive one of these when I was out there at the dealer. And it was actually a very, 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 very smooth transition. because you actually have an electric motor right there. It's thing's a beast though. Look at that. Now, what does an orange cable mean? Do you guys remember?
High voltage.
Very
High
high
voltage.
voltage. Yeah.
Yeah. So what this was, if you look at this is actually a alternator slash starter motor built into one unit. Now, if you look at it, it is very, very, very robust because it is doing two jobs. It is charging the battery systems as well as starting the vehicle once it's already started initially. So it actually does have a basic normal starter, which is right there. If you can see it. This is the basic starter. To turn it on when it's completely off, and then this guy takes its place to turn it on whenever it comes to off of a stop. The cool thing about this is it is an electric motor, so it has a very smooth transition from off to on. Now, have you ever seen newer vehicles? They don't have this no more. And why do you think that is? How come they don't have this guy right here?
Expensive replacement, probably.
Yes, it is cost. I did one replacement on this. Guess how much this guy was?
A lot.
$900, almost $1,000 probably.
Almost
2,000.
1,000. It was $1,100. 1,100 for this guy right here. So yes, it is an expensive part to replace. So let's say your alternator goes out. Well, guess what? You got to replace a $1,100 alternator, even if it's just the alternator. You cannot replace it with a yeah. So that's the reason they kind of phased away from it. But I really liked it because the transition was extremely smooth, and actually you can actually
You get
add
what you pay
power.
for.
Yeah, that's the thing too. I mean, if you guys want to buy like a Mercedes Benz or Cadillac, well, be prepared for expensive repairs because it is an expensive car. My my buddy's brother, young kid, he just recently bought a nice 2015 Audi A5, A4 Quattro all-wheel drive, standard transmission, beautiful Audi, right? And I was like, that's pretty cool, man. It's an inline four turbo. It's beautiful. But I told him be careful because if anything goes wrong with those, it is fucking expensive.
Yep.
It
Sure enough,
really is.
yeah, he messaged me like last week. He's like, "Hey, Matt, I need to replace the clutch." And I was like, "Bro, that's a 10-hour job, and I can't do it because I don't have the right tools for that." So since it's all-wheel drive, you gotta take out the front axles, you gotta remove the transmission, you gotta remove the the rear drive shaft. Drop the transmission, replace the clutch. Clutch alone is $450, not including the labor. I was like, bro, that's gonna be an expensive repair. And I told you from the get-go, once you start buying like German vehicles, Mercedes-Benz, high-end vehicles, it comes with a price.
It really does. I know. I have a friend who I used to work with, and he has Mercedes. I didn't
Mhm.
pay attention to which one, and he had to get the sway bar link switched out. He needed to get like a bunch of stuff,
Mhm.
and he said he paid like $1,200. I was like,
Oh
bro, you
my
should have just told me.
goodness.
He's like, so you're telling me I
Yeah.
spent this much for something so small? I was like, honestly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you take it to a dealer, especially, it's gonna be ridiculously expensive. That's
I mean, if you have the money to get the car, they're obviously gonna know you have the money to get it fixed.
yeah, exactly.
That's why you gotta go with old shit boxes you can fix.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's why all my cars are simple, basic, and they're ready to go. I mean, I don't want nothing crazy. I don't need it. I mean, that's I want. Just need a car that takes from A to B. That's it.
Mhm.
But hey, I
It's-
mean, each their own.
I was gonna say I record all of these at least when I'm here. So if you want to,
Oh,
when
okay.
you get internet back, you can download the video and watch it.
Yeah, yeah, sounds good. I'll tell 'em. Uh, but yeah, that's one of the things that happened to his vehicle. It's unfortunate, but I mean, things like that do happen, and that's why I stay away from like a lot of these foreign vehicles because every car is gonna break down. It doesn't matter. There's always wear and tear on anything.
Mhm.
So it's just I'd rather get something cheap and cost effective that I can fix myself and afford to fix it. So that's the whole
Exactly.
When I'm a
main ordeal.
billionaire, I'll get one of those fancy cars.
There
As
you
of
go,
right
man.
now, I'm getting me a
Money ain't a
car that I
problem.
can bash.
Yeah, I miss my old car, man, but I'll get it later. I'll buy another one. So we're gonna explain the purpose of the starting system, list and identify components of the starting system, explain the principles of the operation of the DC motor, direct current, describe the purpose and operation of the armature, which is almost exactly the same as your starter motor, and other fans as well. Describe the purpose and operation of the field coil, explain the differences between the types of magnetic switches, identify and explain the differences between starter drive mechanisms, describe the differences between the positive engagement solenoids and shift starter, operation and features of the permanent magnet, principles of operation of the three-phase, the purpose of an inverter module, and explain the operating principles of an integrated starter generator systems, what I just showed you right here. Now, like I said, I don't see these much anymore at that time, but they're bringing it back, which is
What
pretty.
car is this?
This one's off a Malibu. I forgot the year. Let me see.
What's LUK?
That's the engine model.
What does it mean?
It's just a specific engine model. It's a 2.4 with the integrated starter generator system. That's all it is.
So
Every
the
engine
letters
has a code.
literally just defines what type of engine it is.
Yeah.
They have like the code. That's basically a code for what type of
What
engine
it
it
is. Yeah, because you all heard of LS3, LS2. All
Mhm.
those are engines. It's just a different.
you ever-
What's up?
Did you ever get to drive a SS?
Yes, they're
car?
awesome, dude. I actually wanted one.
Yeah.
If I were to trade in my car, I would definitely get an SS. But the only thing is they're discontinued, so it is not a very logical thing to get because if you need parts, it's gonna be hard to get.
Why they
But
discontinue them?
I guess it didn't sell that much. But honestly, I got one of the first ones there at the dealer, and it was amazing because they had a self parking capability.
They look bad. They kind of look like a cruise, no? But they're a
Yes,
little bit
it's like a
bigger.
oversized cruise. I like them, dude. They're so amazing. I think it has a 6.2 liter 6L80 transmission, and one of the salesmen had it, and he had me working on it, and he had a tuned ECU and tuned transmission, and that thing took off, man. It was amazing. I liked it so much. It
What
was
engine
badass.
size was it?
Oh, dude. I
Yes.
saw one of those at work. This guy had one, and it was tuned by Hennessy. I was like, oh shit.
Nice. Yeah,
Dude,
they're,
look
they're
And
really
then he
nice.
good.
took off, and it sounded amazing. I'm
Hell
like,
yeah.
holy shit. No,
They're
like, when he got there, I'm like, oh, bro, is that the SS? He's like, yeah, man. I actually just got it like yesterday from Hennessy. I'm
that's
like, oh
awesome,
shit. And then he's like, you want to hear it? I'm like, hell yeah.
dude. One of my students 2 semesters ago had one, and he had the whole Holden conversion kit. Dude, it was amazing, man. It was a SS Holden conversion. And it was the Commodore. It looked like this one. And he had the whole conversion kit. It was pretty cool, man. It was real nice, very very unique. But it's the same one that they sell in Australia, but it's just a different style. That's it. But it was cool, man.
Like
I like them.
like the Ford Falcons from Australia. Those look badass too, man.
Yes, they're awesome, dude.
They kind of look similar to the SS, right?
Yes.
Sort of.
But unfortunately, I think they only sold it for 2, 3 years, 4 maybe max. But it was cool. Very cool car. I liked it. But yeah, these are usually for GM. GM has their own engine label codes. LS4, LQ4, LS3, LS2, LSA. They're all just engine identifiers for the actual vehicle itself. Besides the actual VIN number on the code. So, on here, where we at? So this one? Yes. All right, so that was an ISG. So we'll also talk about the diagrams. Like I said, I love to show diagrams. It's easy to understand. We're gonna perform a systematic diagnosis of the starting system, which I think we did last week. I gave you some concerns of why it would not start, and we actually got it right. We actually checked out several procedures correctly to find out what the actual problem was. Determine what can cause a slow crank and no crank condition. Perform a quick check test series to determine a problem area on the starting system. Perform and accurately interpret the results of a current draw test. Perform and accurately interpret the results of a insulated circuit resistance test and a good ground. I think you guys did this on the Electude. You guys had an amp clamp over the actual cable and you measured how much amperage it is. That would be the
Oh, is that
exactly
the
same
one
thing.
that Julio was having problems with?
Yeah. That's the one. And I'll show you what the actual amp clamp looks like. I never had one. Only the only reason was because they're actually pretty expensive. They're like over $100 just for the clamp itself.
Oh,
But it works pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty expensive. But if you have a good meter, it works really well. And you can only use it for high amperage if you need it for. We're gonna perform solenoid tests in series and accurately diagnose the solenoid. Perform the no crank test and recommended needed repairs as indicated. Diagnose the starter motor condition by the use of free speed tests. Remove and install the starter motor, which we probably won't do, and we probably can't disassemble it because I don't have one that I can ship guys out to you. So
Hmm.
we'll do what we can with this chapter. So
I have one.
you have one? We'll disassemble it, take pictures, and send them in. Let's check it out. And
Okay.
actually, it's pretty cool because you can actually see the armature, the contact points, and I can actually pinpoint what you actually need to look at if you're disassembling a starter motor. So that'd be pretty cool. Uh, your components. So you have a basic schematic here, very, very basic. Of course, you need your battery. What does the battery do?
Give power.
Yeah, it gives power to almost everything. There's always going to be a thick gauge wire that goes from your positive circuit directly to your starter motor. That's what applies power. It always has 12 volts on that starter circuit directly into the starter armature. Now, what actually engages the starter motor? If I always have power to it, how does it actually engage?
wait,
The
power and
safety
ground.
switch?
Sorry,
A switch, right? Yeah, look
that
right here.
sounds better.
Well, it is power and ground. Now look, if you look at this, my starter motor is already grounded out, right? It has power going through my solenoid right here. What I actually need is your switch. So here you have power going to a switch. It will not turn on until the switch is on the run position, which allows current to flow through the starter safety switch and into my solenoid. Once it's contacting my solenoid, and I'll show you right now, there's a plunger that activates through an electromagnetic device and then applies power from my thick cable directly into my starter, which then starts to actually move, which is then attached to my flywheel, which then rotates my engine, gives you gas, gives you fuel, ignition, and it actually turns on. Now, if you look at this, this has a starter safety switch. Is that a basic switch?
Um, maybe.
See that? That looks like a basic switch, right?
Yeah.
What kind of transmission would this be under?
Automatic?
Close. An automatic has something very similar, but they're usually a little bit more difficult. Because on an automatic, on what gears can you start the vehicle in?
Park and neutral? Oh,
There
park.
you go. Yeah, park and
Yes,
neutral. Usually park and neutral are the ones where you can actually start the vehicle. And I'll show you a schematic to show you that right now. On a manual, yes. So on a manual, you actually have to have it's usually a clutch switch. So how can you start a manual? Like what procedure do you need to start an actual standard transmission?
Press the clutch and then
Press the
shift.
clutch.
Well,
Exactly.
actually, yeah.
You have to depress the clutch and then the vehicle will get the command to turn it on. Did I tell you about the incident of my buddy's
remote start?
350Z? Yes. I was going through my pictures and I found it. Give me 1 second. And I was like, I I took a picture of it and I was like, oh no, it's such a beautiful fucking car, man. Let me find it real quick.
I was thinking of getting a 370 as a project car.
Dude, if you can get it for a good price, I think they're perfect because they have a great amount of power and weight ratio, dude. I think it's a great, great car. Even a 350, man.
The cheapest one that I found was 8,300.
What? How many miles?
7?
70 or 7,000?
57,000.
Oh, okay. Ah, it's not that bad.
With the
It's
job
not
I
too
have.
bad. Yeah, it's still pretty expensive, and especially if you want it as a project car. I would not want to fuck around with a almost $10,000 car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, you know what I found online on Facebook Market?
What's that?
I found 2 Dodge Darts for 4,500.
What? That's not bad.
I mean, they're not in the best condition. I think one of them isn't running. And
Older one?
Yeah, they're old. They're the 1969.
Actually, those are
Is
cool,
that
man.
it?
Oh wow.
One's a 2-door, the other one's a 4-door. The 2-door was converted to what's it called?
That's it. It doesn't look like
That's it.
much,
Oh,
but it it's dude, it was a beautiful car, and it went over the. It's right there at the SEC parking lot. It went over the hump, messed with the front end, cracked the oil pan, and it had like burnout marks on the back. And this was a total
Jeez.
loss. It's weird because nothing looks wrong with it. And I wanted to buy it off of her, but she had given it to the insurance. I was like, no, let me buy it. I was like, fuck.
I could fix it.
I know it wasn't that bad. But the oil pan was leaking a lot, so I don't know if the engine had locked up. I don't think it locked up, but it did leak all the oil, and it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. But the insurance company didn't want to fuck with it. It's not meant for standard transmission, guys. It's only meant for automatic transmission. So be
oh
careful
yeah.
with that.
The Dodge Dart was one of them was a convertible,
Oh damn, that's pretty cool.
but they want either 2,500 for one or 4,500 for both.
Hmm.
That's
And
still not bad.
they both have the transmission and engine, and I think they just don't run.
Yeah.
And I think the only one that has rust like sort of bad is a convertible one, because the convertible is down, so I'm guessing
Yeah. It'll start to get water.
yeah. But they look really good. I'm like, shit, man, I want one. But I already have my Ford in the back.
Dude, same. I'm trying to get like other cars. I'm like, I can't even finish one fucking project. I can't get more cars. Damn it. So it's
I need
tough,
to.
man.
If you guys know anyone that sells or is selling a 1979 F-150 hood, let me know.
That'd be pretty cool.
Cause mine is like shit.
Damn it.
Mind you,
This.
you remember? Have you guys seen Cars, right? The first one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know that guy that's like driving and the
Mater?
bus is falling on the no, not Mater, the other one, the one that drops his defense,
I don't remember.
Defense.
and like he's like dropping rust every time he's driving.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's my hood on that truck. Every time I open it, just freaking rust just starts
That's
falling.
hilarious. This was my first project car that I ever bought when I was I bought it for $500.
Is that a Corolla?
It's a Honda Accord,
Ford?
500 bucks, and it was my daily. I filled it up with $30 and it lasted me a month. And there you go. That was the finished product.
Damn,
I
that's
sold
Oh,
it
bro.
for yeah. I sold it for
You painted it?
$1,500 after that.
not bad.
After I
You
drove it
painted
for a
it?
year and a half.
How much did it cost you to do the whole paint job and
500.
everything?
Oh, well, my
500?
uncle helped me out, so he charged me $300 to do the paint job.
Oh, it's not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah. So I fixed up. I fixed oil leaks and I did this and this and that. Bought some stuff on eBay and Amazon and it was. I mean, it was like bare bone. It didn't even have AC. Everything was at chingale, all manual windows, but the engine ran good. It had great fucking gas mileage. I'm telling you, I would fill up in $30 and I would go to work every single day for a month and I would still have gas. It was amazing. And that was my truck.
I found like the 2006 Eclipse 450. It was a
Uh-huh.
turbo engine,
Oh yeah, those are badass.
but
That's
it was
awesome.
like they sent me pictures of the frame and it was rust.
Really, yeah, that's the hard part, man. I can't. The rust is hard to fix unless you have time and the money to do it. But if you
I was gonna
don't,
pick it
it's
up
very
until I
difficult.
saw that and I was like, nah, I'm not
Damn
even gonna
it.
pick it up.
Yeah,
I'd rather fix up
it's.
my dad's car. It's a little Kia Rio.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'd rather fix it up. It's a hatchback. I think if I slam it, it's gonna.
Dude, my car is what I miss. My Stance Miata. That's my baby right there. I missed it so much, but I'll get another one. I want to get a 2002. I've had a couple. They're nice, man, but
Third gen. They look really. Their front bumpers.
yeah, they're awesome. I want this one so I can fix it up.
I posted a picture of my truck. Oof, I
Let's
love
see.
it, dude.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's pretty cool though. That's a cool body style, man.
It has a Winsler engine on it. So oof,
That's pretty cool. Oof, that's pretty badass.
oof.
See, if I were to get another one, I want to get one something like this year.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
The front end on those, they look.
yeah. A 2002, because I kept the actual hard top for myself, and I wanna get another one and fix it up, but later when I get more.
I found one on I think on Opera, Miata. I don't know what.
Uh huh.
Miata.
Yeah, they're awesome. I like them.
Let me check.
I've always liked them.
Same. I want to do what Hoonigan did, make the shark cart.
Ooh, yes.
Oh yes, they look awesome. I've had two actually. I've had a 90, a 91, and then I haven't had one since. I've had them for a couple of years, but I had to get rid of them because I had too many cars at the time.
Oh,
I
sad.
want to get a. I want to get a Maserati.
The Maseratis. The Maserati. All right. So going back to here, we have the batteries, we have their switch, starter safety switch. You got your starter motor. Your main components, of course, consist of your batteries, the cables and wires, your actual ignition switch. Now, be careful because today we have modern technology and we actually use a start button. Now, remember I had that Hyundai, what was it? Hyundai Sonata. It had a crank no start at times, and that system had a push start system. With that vehicle, what happened was it was something so crazy. And I think we talked about it here because it is an electrical concern. I went through most of the concerns, did my electrical checks, and yeah, we did go over it. And on this one, this is actually the schematic for that vehicle. I had to go step by step and do a progressive diagnostic, and I found that my stop lamp fuse 15 amp was not providing power to my stop signal relay. Now you may think, why do I even need my voltage to here? It just applies the brake lights, which is true. And there was two concerns. One concern was the vehicle did not start. The other concern is my brake lights did not work. So if you look at this, if you look at this circuit, the voltage goes into my stop lamp signal relay and then is applied to this circuit right here, and then is spliced into my rear combination lamp.
Are you fucking
What is
sorry? I'm
that?
sorry.
Thought there was a ghost in my room for a second.
What was going on? So it actually splits the voltage to 3 stop lamps, and none of my stop lamps were working. So that was a quick indicator that something is going on here. So of course we had to stop what I was doing. I already checked everything else here. Everything was good, and had to go to the next step, which was I had voltage here at my stop lamp fuse, but the funny thing was I did not have voltage here at terminal 5. So what I found was the fuse had loose contact at the fuse block area. So what we did is we took out the fuse and we got those 2 pins and we kind of squeezed them together to get more tension. We plugged the fuse back, we got voltage here, and everything started to work. Now, this was a temporary fix because the fuse block was around 800 bucks. What would be the correct fix for this vehicle? The problem was right here.
Could you
But what?
bypass the fuse box?
Well, you can
Like-
bypass it, but that would not be the proper way to fix this concern. You can fix it like that, but what would be the proper way to fix it? Like, let's say you were at the dealership. What would you have to do?
Change the wire.
Not the wire. It's not the wire.
Oh, okay.
It was, remember, there was a loose terminal tension in here.
The
Surface
Change
the
the-
terminals?
On these
connector.
fuse boxes, you can't fix it. You got to change out the fuse block. Yeah. The only bad thing is this fuse block is almost like 600 bucks. So, and this is where you come into play. Now, if you're at the dealership, you would have to recommend the fuse block because that is a official way to fix the problem. Now, if you're working at home, like I think some of you guys mentioned, well, why don't you just bypass it? And you're absolutely right. You can technically bypass it. What I would have done if it was a job at home, I would just get a 12-volt circuit, go to 12 volts
to the battery.
to the battery if you want, yeah. Put a 15 amp jumper wire. And that's it. You already bypassed this part because the part that's messed up is in here. But if you bypass it, cut it here, and put 12 volts from the battery if you want, with a 15 amp circuit breaker because it's right there, you're already fixed the problem. And you save the customer $600. So what you can do is you can charge more for labor for finding out the problem, diagnosing it, and fixing it. And you're not going to have the problem anymore because there was a loose terminal tension in here. Now you're solid. So there's different methods of doing it. Just be aware that if you work at a dealership, you're more than likely going to have to recommend the primary fix first, which is more than likely is more expensive because a fuse box is expensive. Or you can recommend this. Well, I can do this, but I would be bypassing the fuse block and adding an external fuse jumper wire to protect the circuit outside of the fuse block, which it will be fine because this fuse only applies power through this circuit. So nothing else is being applied power. So that would be a good way. The good thing about doing this method is you can actually charge more money for labor than you would be than replacing the actual fuse block. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, there's always different methods to do things. Sometimes you do have to think outside the box, but that's a good thing. That's why I always ask you guys questions on this and this and that. No one
How
has
much would you
wrong
charge for
answers.
that?
For that, it took me 3 hours to diagnose. So I would just add another hour for labor. So a total of 4 hours at $40, $45 an hour.
Shit.
Yeah. So that's what I charge at home. Like if I do work at home, I charge around $40 to $45 an hour.
So you
Only
found a
electrical
loose
work.
terminal.
Only electrical work or everything?
Everything. Electrical works 45. Everything else, depending what it is, maybe 30, 35, depending what it. But electrical, I usually charge 40 to 45. Uh, anything that is just physical labor, 30 the minimum, pretty much. That's it. What was that? I'm sorry.
When you're checking for loose terminals, do you just do the whole wiggle test, or is
Yes.
there?
So that's exactly what I did. What we did is, hey, I had someone try to start the vehicle, and I was looking at my scanner, and I had someone go to the front and wiggle each individual fuse. And sure enough, when we wiggled this one right here, it actually started. So we let it go. We moved the fuse block, and sure enough, you have to pretty much pinpoint where the wiggle test was. And sure enough, we found out that the wiggle test was, and it's funny. I know it's hilarious, but it actually worked because the wiggle test showed me that this guy had loose terminal tension when I was actually wiggling the wire and fuse, and then it would actually start to work. So that's when I found out when I pulled this out, this one right here, this terminal right here, was loose, and that's when we went in there with a fine pick and put more tension on it, and it worked. It worked temporarily. We told the customer like, "Hey, we did this temporarily, but the original fix would be to add a new wire or get a new fuse block." What was that, Steven?
Like I think it was the Dodge Ram that we had for Wade. We
Uh-huh.
were working on the 4x4, and it wouldn't switch, but it was a connector that was kind of fucked up.
Oh, really?
We
So
just
it
wiggled
more than
it.
likely had, yeah, it probably had loose terminal tension on the connector to the switch,
Yeah.
and that happens. And honestly, I think we overlooked that, and I overlooked that as well too because I'm over here concentrating on doing voltage checks and resistance checks and all that, where I sometimes forget, even I forget, to do a terminal tension test because if you have loose terminal tension, you will have problems, and that is exactly what happened with this concern, and that kicks your ass, man, because you get simple things like that that just go over your head, and that's it. So make it a habit of try to visually inspect the connectors, both
The
female and
wiggle was
male
really
ends,
good.
and check it. If you have the right tools, which would actually be the correct terminal for that socket, then you can actually do a terminal test. But if you don't have the correct tool, uh, just try to use what you got. I mean, just find something that might fit snugly on there and use it. Try to use that. Let me show you something really quick. Like I said, I loved electrical. It was like one of my favorite things to do. And for GM, we had a specific test kit. Let me see if I have it here. Hold on. Hold on. I don't think I have it. No, I don't have it with me. It was a PDF that had every individual pin that GM has on their vehicles. I don't have it with me right now. I'll get it next time. And it showed you every part number, every pin that is required for each connector. It was pretty cool. But like I said, it's tedious work, but I liked it because it kept you on your feet, kept you thinking, and kept you going. So it was my favorite part. But yeah, that was the problem with this one. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I think this is the last thing we were doing, right? We're actually doing the connectors and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so let's go back over here. Alright, so on your starter motor, it's pretty basic design, and they really haven't changed much in the years that they've been making these. So you have your armature windings, your field windings, your pole shoes, your brushes, and your commutator. Now, have you ever seen someone say, "Hey, if it's not working, give it a little jolt or hit it with a hammer or something"?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think you're actually doing?
Replacing contact.
Yeah, you're moving the contacts. Now, what happens here is your brushes contact your commutator. Your commutator has individual little copper bushings in here that provide power and ground to your armature, which allow it to rotate through the magnetic field in the actual system. So when you actually hit it with a hammer, you're actually shifting the brushes with the commutator to allow current to pass through the actual system. So that's what you're actually doing. Now, in here, if you look at this, remember I was showing you the diagram above? Your cable, your fit cable from your battery goes in right here. So there's battery power flowing in right there. What happens is when you activate the solenoid, which is this guy right here, through your ignition switch, your magnetic pole pushes this plunger outward. It applies power through here, through the contact disc, and out to the actual brush. Once you have power to the brush, you have ground, power, it begins to rotate, pushes this plunger out, pushes the drive pinion to my flywheel, and then rotates that flywheel to get it running. So it's a little bit complex, but it's not too bad if you understand what the actual starter motor works. So when you have starter concerns, it could be very few things. You could have a bad battery, low voltage. You could have a bad solenoid, bad brushes inside, ignition switch, so security systems, or a bad switch. So there's very few things that can happen. Of course, everything gets complicated once you get to the schematic part. That's pretty much all it is.
I have a starter and we're gonna take it apart.
Yeah, you can take it apart, send us the pictures, and we can actually show you if it's good or bad because we can actually see the actual internals. Now, when you disassemble it, let me show you the disassembled view. When you disassemble it, you're going to see some internal components. Like I said, they keep it basic because it's worked for many, many, many years. So why change a good thing? You're going to start to see what you really need to see is pretty much the brushes on the commutator. What I've seen fail also, is there another picture on here? Is the permanent magnets on the sides, they become unglued. And when they come unglued, they get stuck on the whole armature and it binds up. No, I don't have one here. So it's gonna have to be this one. This guy right here, it's a magnet. So these magnets are usually glued onto the case. When they come unglued, they lodge onto the armature and it gets stuck and it binds. So that's another reason why they'll short out or they'll just lock up. And even if you just go in there and hit it, it will just not work because it's stuck completely. But yeah, when you open it up, your main concern is right here, where your brushes contact your commutator. That's what you want to look at right there. And as well as your drive pinion gear, make sure they're not broken or the teeth are not completely worn out. Solenoids, you usually can buy them separate, and you usually can buy a starter kit, starter rebuild kit to rebuild it completely. But like I said, most manufacturers, what they do is they ask for the old one back. They sell you a new one with warranty. They remanufacture the old one and they resell it as a refurbished unit, and that's what they are. That's what they've been doing most of the time. I've never rebuilt a starter before in my line of work. A lot of the instructors that are there used to do alternators, starters, all this crazy stuff. They don't do that no more. Um, The field coils, they are the electromagnets constructed of wire ribbons wrapped around a pole shoe. There are three types of field coil connections. You have a series, the parallel, and the compound connection. Now, like I said, when you open them up, you might not be able to tell which ones they are. They've pretty much transitioned to a more efficient starter motor, which is the parallel system, because they can actually make the design smaller and still produce the amount of amperage and strength to turn over a vehicle. If you actually look at some of the older starters, I think one of my students had a Torino, Ford Torino or something, Gran Torino, and he took out the starter motor, and this thing looked like it was off of a freaking diesel. It was huge. And then we compared it to like a starter motor off my 5.3, and it was like a quarter of the size of that starter. Like they've completely redesigned the starter motor to be more efficient. So
Like
the Series 1 type, what's up?
the Camaro Z28, that
Oh
rock.
yeah, the one you were working on.
Yeah, I had a fucking big ass fucking starter too.
Yeah, it's an old school method that they've been using. Uh, and you found out that it was shorted, right?
Yeah.
Do you
Man,
still have the
I already
picture?
fixed it.
You did?
Uh,
Nice.
the yeah, it was just like kind of welded onto the fucking lipstick.
Yeah. So it was shorted out to ground, causing the spark, right? It was sparking when you were trying to crank it over.
And like when I would like put the battery on, it would like fucking like weld. I was like welding and that shit. I was like, what the fuck?
Damn. Yeah, it was directly to ground. That's a direct short. That's
Yeah,
crazy, man.
I
Well, good
just
thing you
like
found it.
yeah. I thought
That's
it was gonna be hard. I was like, man, what the fuck did I get myself into? But nah, it was simple.
That's pretty good. Quick, easy job. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, it's because I also I had to take off the bumper and like cut out a whole bunch of like metal on the back because he wants to
Uh-huh.
put some muffler kit.
Okay.
And then I did that. And then I did the starter, that wiring problem.
That's pretty cool. That's good,
Probably
man.
took
I
me,
mean, that's good experience.
yeah, like 2 days maybe,
That's
like
not
a day
bad.
and a half. But
Pretty
like I
good.
was
Pretty
taking
good.
my time on it.
Badass. Yeah, that's good, man. So that stuff like that, it's a good way to learn, especially like for the starters. And you found out the problem. You found out there was short to ground. You fixed it. You found the area, so that's good. Just be careful, like you said, when you put the battery on there. Like I'm pretty sure it's arced, and I'm pretty sure the cables were starting to get really, really hot because it was a short to ground. So that's why whenever you reverse cables, which you should never do, it's gonna instantly spike up in voltage and get very, very, very hot. So just be very careful with that.
And I or me and my cousin put the subs in the truck already.
Oh, sweet. You already wired up the wires and everything?
Yeah, everything's set up. I've been
That's badass, man.
bumping it.
That's good. That's good. Awesome.
Yeah.
So
Can't
the,
hear
the
though,
types of
but
motors we have. What was
I can't hear no more, but it's good.
that? That's the sacrifice we're willing to take. We have the Series
What?
1 type is the most powerful. I'm sorry, the most popular design of starter motor. Current flows through the field windings, the brushes, and the commutator, and then the armature. Will develop its maximum output at the time of initial start, and that's where your starter motor. That's for the reason you want it. Shunt wound type does not decrease in torque output as its speeds increases and does not produce as much torque and is commonly used as power window motors, wiper motors, and power seat motors. Now, this is another very common thing. A lot of our fans, our motors are all designed the same way as a starter motor. Um, and I've seen people, they get very, very confused on why something does not work. Let's say what is a blower motor? Do y'all know what a blower motor is? The HVAC blower motor? Do y'all know what that is, guys?
I've heard about it, but I don't know.
It's the fan that pushes the air from your AC towards the
Oh, okay.
vents. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
So it's a little motor. It's a little blower style motor. Guess what? It works the same way as a starter motor, except it uses this type of system. And I've diagnosed so many quick, easy things very fast by doing this method. Customer comes in, right? Blower motor does not work. What do you think is the first thing I do?
Wiggle it.
You
Wiggle it?
you
What
hit
else?
or
What was that? Okay, wiggling is one.
jump it.
Jumping is another. What about hitting it?
También.
You hit it.
Yeah,
And if it starts to work after that,
It's a brushes.
yeah, it's the brushes. You can't fix it. You got to replace it. That's usually a very common thing that happens with these motors. It could be engine fan cooling motor, blower fan motor, a window motor, anything like that. That's, let's say it starts to act up. Give it a little tap. If it starts to work after that, you're more than likely gonna have a bad internal motor. Now, of course,
Oh,
check that you're getting power and ground at it. But if you are and it's not moving, give it a tap. You're just shift those brushes around, and if it starts to move, you need to replace it. What was that, Steven?
I also did a Ford Escort.
Mm-hmm.
The window wasn't going up and down,
Okay.
but I took it apart and the springs, everything was just like fucking broken. So I just like put a screw in it so it could hold the window up.
Yeah. For
So
the
he
meantime,
finds, yeah, till we get
the
the
regulator.
yeah.
Yeah, usually the regulators go out, and sometimes they sell them with the motor as an assembly. Sometimes they don't. I worked on a couple of BMWs before where the actual windows stopped working, and it's weird because they sold the regulator by itself, which was $350 used,
Mm.
but you had to use the actual motor from the old regulator because the motor itself was another $200. So if you wanted a complete regulator with motor, it'd probably be like $550. I was like, what the fuck? So
That's
I had
fucking
to.
insane.
Yeah, it was like it's just a fucking window regulator. Why is it so expensive? You find a regulator for a Chevy or Ford for like 30, 40 bucks.
I was gonna say the Sierra I worked on it was like $27.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's cheap. That's fucking awesome. And then this BMW, and it was an older BMW. It was probably like a 2013, and the motor was still working, but the regulator had busted. But the regulator used was $350. Like, oh my fucking god, that is so stupid. And honestly, it's only because the design of it was complicated. The way I feel about these things, more complicated things cause more problems. For domestic vehicles, Chevy, they keep it simple. They've used the same design of regulators, cable driven. It works. Yes, the cables break at times, but it is so much cheaper to replace one of those than it is to replace one stupid regulator off of a overly designed regulator. It does the same exact thing. It moves the window up and moves the window down for a quarter, an eighth of the price of that one. So I was like, it's ridiculous. It was hilarious. But yeah, you'll run into stuff like that.
But that también they're kind of like low quality, like little fucking regulators, right?
Yeah, I mean, yes,
Cause
it does come with a price, of course.
'cause,
Um,
my
Go
sister
ahead.
had a 98 Durango,
Uh-huh.
and her fucking window regulators kept like fucking up all the time. And that's because
And it
we
was
replaced them.
shit. And they were
I don't know.
original.
Yeah, I don't know why they would fucking break all the time.
And yeah, that's another thing we have to take in consideration. Of course, when you see a vehicle, when you purchase a vehicle, they actually have a MSRP sticker, right? It tells you the price of the vehicle. And it also tells you where the parts are manufactured. Most domestic vehicles are manufactured like 50% in the US, 30% in China, another 30% in Indonesia. So that you get parts from all over the place because they're trying to keep the cost of the vehicle down. And that's the only bad problem with it. Now, if you think about it, if you actually want a vehicle that was made in the United States 100%, that vehicle would be marked up so much because the manufacturing in the United States, the price is too high. And that's why most uh, companies manufacture outside source because it is so much cheaper. But that's what it is. It's pretty much just market. Why am I going to
Lexus.
produce something here if it's 4 or 5 times more than I can just produce it cheaper in
It
Mexico?
isn't like Lexus like American, like almost related.
Uh, no, Lexus is Japanese.
Really?
Yeah, it's owned by Toyota.
Oh, that's true.
So yeah, Lexus is Toyota's luxury brand.
Ah, it's true. I remember because
Yeah,
they wanted to be just like Mercedes, but then
yeah.
they're
So
just as
everybody has a
expensive
luxury.
as.
Oh, not everybody, but most have luxury brands. Chevy has Cadillac, Ford has Lincoln, Toyota has Lexus, Nissan has Infinity. So most manufacturers have a luxury brand, which is still made in Japan. I think majority of the stuff. Uh, but it is what it is, man. I mean, even a lot of people uh, like Hondas, and it's for a good reason. Hondas have always made dependable vehicles. Now, of course, the manufacturing process throughout the years will either go up and better or go down depending what it is. The reason Toyota has such a high market share is because Toyota actually has a specific discrete manufacturing process where they actually stop the assembly line if they find if they find a problem within that time frame. If they find that problem, they stop production, they fix the problem, and they go back to all the vehicles that they actually will have the problem and fix it prior to delivering to the vehicle to the customer. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's a different manufacturing process. Ford doesn't do this. Nobody does it. They've been trying to copy it for so long, but Toyota has gotten it down to the dot, and that's why they're so dependable because they don't let their vehicles out. If you look at everybody else, what they do is they manufacture them as fast as possible, let them go, and let the dealerships fix the problems that were already there. Pretty much, that's what it is. So it's kind of crazy, but I've done like research into that. It's pretty cool how people do this stuff. And Toyota actually keeps Toyota, Subaru, Honda like to keep their price value very high, so it's good. Their resale value is really good. All right, so back to our magnets. I'm sorry, motor styles. There's a new system called a permanent magnet motor. Permanent magnet type uses a fixed permanent magnet instead of field coils. It's designed to eliminate the field circuit and can weigh 50% less than a typical starter motor. They're becoming commonly used in late model vehicles. I haven't really seen a lot of these yet, but like physically, I know they're using more of this as drive motors. I think Tesla uses something like this. The reason they use this is pretty much it's kind of like a brushless motor. What's the difference between a brushless and a brushed motor? You guys know?
One doesn't have brushes.
Yeah, that's it. That's all it is.
I keep thinking these are trick questions.
No, they're simple questions. So instead of having brushes, you have. I'm sorry. Yeah, instead of having brushes, you have a brushless motor design. So the cool thing about this, if you look at, it's kind of hard to see. I need a bigger picture.
Is the brush the like the wiring of the copper? Is that the brush?
Right here, no, actually, these are the field coils. So on a brushless motor, this guy right here, you have no physical contact from the coil to the armature. So all of these guys are magnets. And all this coil does, it actually alternates from north to south poles because all it is a magnet. The only difference between a brushless and brushed motor is, of course, you don't use brushes. But another thing is, it is a more sophisticated motor. But it's good and bad thing. Bad thing is you have to add more components into the actual motor, so the increase of cost goes up. But you also need to have a little like computer controller to indicate what position my coil is to my magnet is to be able to determine what position my field coil needs to be at. So it'll be like a push and pull system to increase torque and increase speed with that system.
Yeah,
On a
they
brush motor,
generate crazy amounts of torque.
yeah, they're awesome. And
It's
I think
scary.
yes, it's amazing. That's what they use these a lot on RC cars. They're using them on hybrid vehicles. They're using them on fully electric vehicles because they can last a lot longer because there's no internal components that are actually wearing down, like in a brush motor. On a brush motor, the brushes wear down, it wears down the commutator, and that's what actually has to give out. On a brushless, you don't have that problem. Of course, maybe the computer might go out, which you'll have to replace it, but any physically thing touching each other, it doesn't. So it should last a lot longer. Less friction means more power. More power means better economy, so on and so forth. So it's a pretty cool design. I think I have a few videos on there on the electrical uh, systems, multimedia.
Yeah, I have a brushless chainsaw, and that
Oh,
that thing
really?
chews through everything.
Damn, that's pretty cool, man. That is badass.
It's really scary. I keep an iron grip on the thing because I don't want it to drop because it'll chew through chaps.
Oh yeah,
It eats through chainsaw chaps, and
that's
that is
crazy.
scary.
Uh, well, give me 1 second. I'm gonna. Hold on. How can I do this? Is there any way to change the streaming? No, it doesn't let me. Oh, there you go. Change screen. Give me 1 second. Right here. Cool. So I found out how to share audio. You should be able to see this.
Yep, we see it. How automotive starting and charging systems work.
Can you hear it though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that the first car with electric starting was the 1912 Cadillac? The starter motor was designed by Charles Kettering, one of the founders of Delco, which later became AC Delco. The vehicle starting and charging system cranks the engine for starting, charges the vehicle battery, and provides the electrical power for engine controls, lights, and accessories. Key components of the starting and charging system include the battery, which stores the electrical energy, the starter motor, which cranks the engine, the alternator, which charges the battery and powers the vehicle electrical system, and battery cables to connect the battery. Malfunctions can cause abnormal noises, dim lights, discharged battery, no crank conditions, and may illuminate the battery indicator lamp. The starting and charging system is a critical part of your vehicle. Malfunctions with the system components can result in a no crank start condition. Cold weather puts an extra strain on the system. Have the system checked periodically. Visit your local AC Delco service center for expert service and quality parts.
Cool. Alright, so yeah, I finally figured out how to share audio. So that should work there. Let me go back over here, change the screen to... Now, what I wanted to do before we end this is I want to show you discuss a few things with a schematic. Always got to bring out the schematics.
You're not doing it right if you don't have the schematic.
Exactly, we need the schematics, man. So, let's get a... I don't know. Tell me a vehicle. Has to be a Chevy though. Has to be a GM.
That's S.
What year? Which one did they come out? Is it 14?
15? 14? I don't know.
There it is. SS. 2014 Chevrolet SS. Let's look at the starting system.
Shit.
Let's check it out. Engine. Propulsion. 12 volt starting and charging. Diagrams. There it is. All right. So I'm gonna.
What engine size is it?
I think I'll check it right now. I think it's a 6.2.
Man, that shit fits in that little car. Fuck.
I know, man. That's why it's a freaking beast.
A super slow.
Super slow starter. There it is. Wrong one. Right here. Boom, 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 boom. We're gonna add a PDF. Desktop. Super slow. Yes. Insert. All right. Let me bring the handy dandy meter. Put it right there. And what we need to do, erase all this old stuff. Clean slate. Move this right here. All right. So a couple of common problems why your starter may not work, right? Now, on this system, first of all, what type of transmission do we have?
Automatic.
Automatic.
Automatic. Perfect. So we're going to highlight the automatic transmission. We have an automatic transmission. So we have a starter motor relay, right? We have a starter motor right here. We have voltage coming from my battery. That's the biggest it goes. Voltage goes through a 300 amp fuse on the fuse block, goes through a junction block, goes to here, goes down right here, goes into A. That is your cable directly from my battery, right? So on this system, to get this going, you have a solenoid. Solenoid is right here. If you look at this, where's my power and ground? Is it up or is it down?
Ground's down, power's up.
Ground is down, right? So power is up. So let's follow this circuit right here. Follow here, here, and it goes to 30. So 30 needs power to be applied to activate my starter motor, right? Now, if you look at this, I actually get power at 87 from here. Fuse F57 30 amp. Connector X6 terminal A at my fuse block. But I get it from my alternator. So my alternator provides power there, and it comes from same thing, the junction block. So two things need to be there. We need power here, we need power here, and we need power here in the battery. So all of this is very important. Now, so we already got this part understanding, right? To get this starter motor to work, we need to activate my starter relay. What do we have constant at my starter relay? Do we have a constant power? Do we have a constant ground? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a constant ground right here. Constant ground. So to activate this relay, I need to apply what to turn it on? Power. So you got to get power from my engine control module, connector X1, terminal 52. It is a switch that provides power to my relay. Now, be careful because the only way to get power out of this guy right here is inside my transmission, there is a transmission internal mode switch. This mode switch has to tell my ECM that it is in what position?
Park or neutral?
Park or neutral. If it does not see park or neutral, is it ever going to start?
No.
No.
No, it will never start. Now, how do you view if you have your transmission in park or neutral?
You use a shifter.
Okay, so how do you know it's actually telling my computer that it's actually in park or neutral? This is the hard part. Well,
If
you
it's
can't see
something
the
both.
switch.
Where the
You
voltage
can't
is
see-
going into the ECM.
So yeah, you would actually probably be able to see if it has voltage here, depending on park or neutral. What is an easier way? But you need a special tool,
Scanner.
a scanner. With the
Like,
scanner, you're able to view my automatic transmission information and see with the actual shifter, park, neutral, reverse drive, if it is actually commanding the correct switches that my ECM can actually see it. If it is, and if it doesn't start, then we could have another problem. That's when you do a step-by-step diagnostics to find out exactly what is happening with this motor. Now, we can have a concern with the automatic transmissions assembly, internal switch, no communication, no open wire, no voltage, bad relay, bad fuse block. You can have a lot of things. Bad starter motor, bad cables, so on. Now, before we move on, here's one very important thing. This is what GM recommends. Every manufacturer is different. How do we do a voltage drop on a wire? Do you guys remember?
Set it to voltage and put it across the wire.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So I want to see what my voltage drop is on my starter cable. So one, that's the, yep, that's the big as it goes. One goes here. And the other one goes, not that one here, over there. I'll zoom out right now. So what I'm doing is I'm checking my starter cable for a voltage drop with voltage DC, voltage DC. Now, what else do I have to do to check this? I have to do one important thing to actually check the
Start the
voltage drop.
vehicle.
Start the vehicle. With the vehicle started, you're providing a load on the cable to stress it out. Now, most manufacturers on a circuit like this do not want more than 0.5 volts, which is how many millivolts?
500.
500 millivolts. If you have an excessive of 500 millivolts, what do you think the problem is?
Something's eating up the current.
Yeah.
I mean the voltage.
Yeah, somewhere along this line, you're losing voltage. It could be a loose connection, corroded internals, loose connection, a bad wire, bad connection here, bad connection here, bad connection here. It could be very several things. GM at one point we had a lot of problems with starting systems. Sometimes you would have the vehicle, all the accessories would turn on, but it would not turn on. It would not click, it would not start, it would not do nothing. And we actually did a voltage drop on the cables, and it actually had 0.2. They said any cable that has excessive voltage drop of 0.2 volts needs to be replaced. So we replaced the power cable as well as a negative cable, and it would fix the problem. The only thing is you cannot physically see internal resistance. So the only way to check it is a voltmeter and conduct a voltage drop on that circuit end to end to get your results. So our justification was we completed a voltage drop. We found a voltage drop of 0.5, indicating that this cable has an excessive amount of voltage drop, not allowing the computer to engage the starter motor. So there's a lot of different things out there, guys, but we always have to incorporate the meter, especially in electrical. Schematics is one thing, understanding the actual how it works is another, and actually testing is the last part. So if you guys understand how to use and how to use the actual DVOM, you're in good hands. But we still need to practice schematics. I always want you guys to use schematics. If you want a schematic for your vehicle, if I can get it for you, I will give it to you. But I want you guys to practice the stuff. I'll more than likely give you guys a schematic and I'll just throw it in there. Just look at it, study it, and maybe I'll have you guys, hey, how does it work? What do you think it does? How does it, do stuff like that? I'll probably do that today. Uh, I'll find a schematic. I'll throw it in the Discord. I want you all to look at it, and then we'll discuss it on Wednesday to find out exactly what y'all thought about it. Because if you can look at a schematic and understand how it works, you're actually doing really, really good. Now, sometimes I don't understand how it works. So what I have to do is go into a system description operation, find out how it works first, and then diagnose it. Because understanding the system description operation will help you understand how to fix it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I try to push this a lot. And that's why I like this whiteboard because I have a lot of my stuff on here. We discuss it and all that good stuff. I like electrical. It's fun. But like I said, if you have any concerns, maybe if I can get you, I can only get GM schematics. That's the only unfortunate thing. But like I said, you have
So buy
access
a
to all the
GM
other
car.
stuff. What's up?
So buy a GM car.
Well, I've only used GM. Of course, I've diagnosed other vehicles before. The unfortunate thing is, it's very difficult to diagnose something without information. I did help my buddy out last week. He was having a problem with a Ford Excursion. 4 cylinders were not shooting the fuel injector. I had to find the wiring diagram, and I showed it to him. I sent it to him, and we actually discussed it over the phone. And I told him exactly how it works. I've never worked on Ford before, but I told him, look, this is how it works. He actually, let me see if I can find one. It was a, do I still have it here? 2012 Ford Excursion, and the injectors on opposite side were not firing. What happened was the computer controlled the ground side circuit for the system. So I told him, you need to check all these ground sides to make sure they work. If they don't work, you more than likely have a bad ground, or if it's grounded internally, you need to replace the computer. I don't have the schematic anymore. But I don't have it as schematic. I'll get it for next time. But on the schematic, it was an 8 cylinder. It had 8 injectors, left bank, right bank, and they were opposite coordinating injectors that were not firing. So it was only running on 4 cylinders. I gave him the schematic. I discussed it with him. I told him, look, check here, check here, check here, check here. Give me your results, and then we'll discuss it. He got all the results. He found out that we have 12 volts on all the injectors, but it is missing the injector ground pulse from the computer. And with the schematic, it showed that these 4 circuits come directly out of my ECM and individually ground each injector when it needs it. But the ground inside the computer was inoperative. So the only way to fix it was to replace the computer and program it. So I told him that's what you need to do. He did it, he got it going, he got it programming, and it fixed the problem. But the only way to get to that justification is to properly diagnose the system. Do not replace components if you're not sure if it is what it is. You know what I mean? Be very careful with that. I had a student come in last semester. He was one of my graduates, and he's working at Cadillac, and he had a fuse that kept popping. Right. The problem with this one was he had one very similar. Hold on, give me 1 second, guys. I just need to go to the bathroom real quick. 1 second. Hold
Kinda hungry.
I already ate egg and ham. It's fucking lit.
Lit.
And I drank coffee. It's pretty lit.
Lit.
Indeed. Anybody else get a little bit lost there?
I've been lost since we started. Don't worry.
Honestly.
I meant the school year, not the class right now.
Cool.
Oh, I need like the biggest freaking nap ever, man.
What?
I need the biggest nap ever. Need to sleep.
Same.
I need the biggest joint ever. My joints hurt. It's because my joints
Back.
hurt.
We still here?
No.
Maybe.
Did the class leave already or what? Okay,
Possibly.
last story, and then we'll call it a day.
I
So I had a student that came in to ask a couple of questions. He was having a concern, electrical. He was working at Cadillac already, and he had a concern. It kept popping a fuse, and he figured out that it was a rear tail lamp. Now it's a Cadillac, guys. It was like a brand new Cadillac, 2018, 2019. So this tail lamp was around $1,000, right? $1,000 fucking. Okay, all right. So I was like, did it fix it? Like, yeah, it fixed it the first time. This and that. Okay, perfect. He had another vehicle come in. Yeah. Here's the kicker. He had another vehicle come in, very similar, same make and model. It kept popping the fuse, so he recommended the rear tail lamp again, right? Without diagnosing, because he thought it'd be the same one. Well, $1,000 for a tail lamp. He plugged it in, he test drove it, and it kept popping it again. So he recommended the front headlamp because it's connected to the same circuit, and he thought maybe the wires were shorted out, and it popped the fuse. So okay, another $1,000. That's $2,000, guys. $2,000 for a headlamp and a tail lamp. And guess what? It did not fix it. So that's when he came to me like, sir, I can't figure it out. I was like, okay, first of all, why did you recommend this if you did not know 100% sure where it's at? It's like, oh, well, because I had one before, and that's what it is. That's what it was. Like, but was it this time? I was like, no. Like, well, here's what you need to do. Now that you're stuck $2,000 in, you cannot tell the customer you fucked up. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to diagnose where it's at. I told him you need to look at the schematic, and you need to trace the wires where they go, because the headlamps and the tail lamps go underneath in a harness, and I need you to individually chase that wire and look through it. I said you have a short to ground somewhere on the chassis because it only does it sometimes. You need to start doing a wiggle test and find out when does it pop it, and why is it popping it, because you have to drive it for a while before it pops, and after it hits a bump it'll pop. So sure enough, he did that the same day, and he sent me a picture, and he found it. It was actually one little wire that started to rub on the chassis, and when it hit a bump, it was a power to ground that popped the fuse. So, $2,000 later, what was it? It was
Short.
a freaking wire. It was one little wire that had a few bare wires exposed. When they hit a bump, it would contact power to ground, it'd pop the fuse. That's what it was. So be very careful with diagnosing electrical, guys. Do not replace components if you are not 100% sure what it is. That's $2,000, and they did not fix it. This happened like last semester. So just be aware of that. Be
That's why we should not be taking online classes.
I'm trying my best here, guys. Hopefully like this helps. Um try those simulators, man. If you really think you can handle it, the simulators are gonna put you to the test. I'm telling you, those simulators are pretty good because they're difficult, and you have to do a step-by-step diagnostics on the simulator to make sure you're on the right path. So if you really think you can tackle it on, I would attempt the simulators. That's a good way to I guess substitute a physical car with an actual virtual car. You get all the tools, but try it out. But yes, if it were up to me, yes, I'd rather be in the actual lab. But this is what we have for now. But like I said, I'm trying my best, trying to hopefully do as much as we can. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. You have any questions?
Not yet. How about the evaluation, or what is it?
Uh huh.
Where do we go for that?
Let me see. Hold on. Let me see if it's already out.
I think it should be in your mail, the
Right?
Gmail. Yeah, I think I saw something about that on my Gmail. Or
It should be
Gmail.
also on the Blackboard, I think,
Yeah.
like
Let
on
me
the side.
Is that you, Sebastian?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Damn.
Damn.
Hey, where you been, dude?
I've been
Hey,
here, just been lazy most of the time.
just in the dark, just listening.
Yeah.
Just want to
Don't like the sound of that.
It's okay, you're not here present.
If you want, I can always put the. If you want, you can go to the STC website, the actual main one, and go to the search button. Click Smart Evals. It's gonna be the first one. When you click that first link, it goes in here. You log in. And it's gonna ask you, please evaluate your current courses. So I need to do mine for my current class, which is blueprinting, reading, and sketching. So I need to do that, but I'll do that later.
Sure.
Yo,
Can you extend O2 sensors?
yeah, just make sure you wire them up the same.
All right.
Yeah, just make sure that the same wiring is the same each wire, and you should be good. It'll work.
Cool.
Yeah. So these are all the evaluations. The percentage is the people that have actually responded. So right now, nobody's done the evaluation. It opened up on the 8th, and it ends on the 5th. So you have all that time to do it. But yeah, if you guys can do it, if you want, I will. Actually, I can email the students. Email just the class. It'll probably go to your Jag mail.
I don't know. I'll check it out
Yeah.
in a little bit.
Cool. Yeah, it should be there. If not, I'll put it on Blackboard and just finish up the evaluations. Like I said, Do it for all your classes and put down what you thought. I know we transitioned to online halfway the mid-semester. Put down what you thought about that, how we're doing, what we can improve, stuff like that. And that's it, guys. That's it for today. Like I said, if you have any questions, guys, always let me know on Remind or here on Discord. The best way to contact me on Discord is use the @ symbol and then put my name, and it'll send me a notification. And you can send me pictures or whatever you need to do, or if you have any questions, or I'll send you schematics, whatever.
Hey, the
I'll try
campus
to
is
take
not gonna
apart
be
the-
open to like.
Till
It's
May
not gonna be
4th.
open until May, right?
Yeah, that's when we're gonna go back.
Oh, so we're actually going back.
Well, the faculty is going back. Students are
Oh,
not
okay.
right now. Yeah, but if you need to pick up your car, I know you gotta get it. Just let me
Yeah.
know when I'm there. I'll talk to the boss and I'll let you know when we can stop by and get it.
Alrighty.
Alright.
Yeah, sounds good.
What was that, Steven?
Fuck.
Or somebody asked me something. I couldn't hear.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll see if I could try to take apart those things by Wednesday.
Oh yeah, go for it. Just send the pictures in here, and we'll check them out. Everybody has access to Discord. You can use it and share information, talk, and all that.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, guys. You
Okay.
enjoy the rest of the day.
Yeah, likewise.
I'll see y'all later.
Later.
Bye.
Alright, for y'all for ease of access, I'm putting these videos up on YouTube.
Awesome. Thanks, John. I appreciate it, man.
Because I know not everyone wants to use Google Drive, and I know Google Drive is like a 15 gig limit.
I know. Yeah, it's a pretty big file, man. It's like almost 800